Welcome to Phrase by Phrase, where we are studying the Bible one phrase at a time. And today we are looking at James chapter 3, verse 5b. Now, the last time we saw that teachers are responsible for what they say because their tongues have great influence. But now James is going to begin to apply this teaching on the tongue to everyone. And he's going to take the next section and he's going to focus on the potentially destructive power of the tongue. All right. So in James 3:5b, he says, "See how great a forest is set aflame by such a small fire." You know, water can't multiply. A cup of water isn't going to become a flood. But with a match, you can burn down an entire forest, right? Because it just has a potential to multiply. Well, you know, a little bit of gossip can just spread in ways that praise doesn't. Praise doesn't spread. Gossip does. So Proverbs 26 speaks of a person causing division with their tongue. And the writer identifies four characteristics of someone who sins with their tongue. And here's what they are. He says, first, they perpetuate division and contention, which, by the way, Proverbs also says is one of the things God hates and is an abomination unto him. But Proverbs 26:20 says, for lack of wood, the fire goes out. And where there is no whisperer, contention quiets down. The word whisperer is one who murmurs or criticizes or grumbles or slanders. And he says when you are in a place where no one does those things, then contention and fighting quiets down. I mean, if those four things stopped, there would be no fighting in the church, right? I mean, if we could go to church and there'd be no murmuring and complaining, there'd be no criticisms, there'd be no grumbling, there'd be no slandering of other people, the church would be amazing. You know, the fighting in the church would stop if that stuff was gone. Secondly, their words are inviting and they're persuasive. In Proverbs 26:22, it says, the words of a whisperer are like dainty morsels, and they go down to the innermost parts of the body. You know, dainty morsels is the Hebrew word that means to swallow greedily. And so people love gossip. They're persuaded by it, and they can't get enough of it. They're just attracted to that kind of speech. Three, they disguise a wicked heart. In Proverbs 26, verse 23, it says, like an earthen vessel overlaid with silver dross are burning lips and a wicked heart. He who hates disguises it with his lips, but he lays up deceit in his heart. When he speaks graciously, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred covers itself with guile, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. So it sounds all gracious and wonderful, but there's a lot of poison deep inside. And then number 4, they sound innocent, but their intent is to destroy. In Proverbs 26:28, it says, a lying tongue hates those it crushes, and a flattering mouth works ruin. They're flattering, they sound great, but they're really working ruin. Now, in light of those who are, in light of us who are believers, you know, gossip and contentious speech should have no place in the Christian life. And Paul makes that clear in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Paul says, let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, that it might bring grace to those who hear. I mean, just think what our circles of influence, our churches and our small groups and our families would be like if we practiced just that verse alone. It would change the world, right? He says, let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth. Unwholesome is a word meaning to tear down. It's not fruitful. It doesn't build up. It's just the very opposite of that. So any kind of a critical, negative word, he says, don't let any word like that come out of your lips. That right there would change the world, right? But then he says, but only such a word as is good for edification. So the words that we speak need to build up. They need to strengthen. They need to encourage. They need to help. And he says it needs to be according to the need of the moment, meaning that it needs to be appropriate to that moment so that it gives grace, that it empowers people, comes alongside and helps people out. But it says it gives grace to those who hear, so it's appropriate to those who are present. You're speaking words that are positive, that are giving strength to the people who are present in that group. And so if we speak something about somebody that's not there, don't do that. If we speak something negative, don't do that. If we speak something that doesn't build up, don't do that. If we speak something that's not appropriate to the moment, don't do that. He's saying that kind of speech is like the match that will light a forest on fire. And so if we just followed Ephesians 4:29, it would change the world. You think about that. We'll see you next time as we study the Bible phrase by phrase.